DreAllDay.com.
Now, listening to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, including yourself, especially you, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one masterclass, and this daily show that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. You know what, I shouldn't say one masterclass, because this masterclass comes out actually every single day, so we should change that to the daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. So we have nearly 1,600 of these daily masterclasses available to you. If you didn't know, I mean, I think you know, because you see what number episode this is, right? But anyway, as promised today, I'm going to give you the inverse of what we talked about yesterday. Yesterday, I told you why business is just like sports. Today, I'm going to tell you why business is not like sports. So there are some similarities between the business world and the sports world, and there are some stark contrasts between the business world and the sports world. Now, I started out as a nobody in the sports world when I first started playing, and in my early years, once I got a chance to get my feet wet and actually show some skill, I was still a nobody in the sports world. So how did I get on in the sports world? How did I actually get in? Because it was an open market. Sports is an open market. I proved myself again and again, and that was that. That's the way it works in the sports world. You find out where the decision makers are making decisions. You can go there. You could buy your way in, or you could just walk in. You show your game, and if you're good, you will be elevated. And if you're good again, you'll be elevated again. They'll just keep elevating you as long as you prove yourself to be good. That's the way that it works in the sports world. It is a wide open market. Anyone can succeed in sports. As I told you a few days ago, that I told you the episode where I said business is not a meritocracy. Well, sports, it is a meritocracy. All right, business is not a meritocracy. That was just masterclass number 1580, just a handful of days ago. If you don't remember every point that I made there, go listen to it again. And if you got access in the game group membership or Work on Your Game University, please listen to that many times. Download it to your phone, do whatever it is that you got to do. In the sports world, if you are good enough, opportunity will find you and opportunity will continue to serve you if you are good enough in the sports world. In the business world, if you are very good at what you do, you could still be a nobody, you could still get no results, you could still make no money, you could still not pass go and not collect $200. As a matter of fact, you can go directly to jail, not literally, but jail is extending the metaphor here. Any of you never played the board game Monopoly? I proved myself over and over again in sports, and it worked. In business, you can prove yourself as much as you want and still be a nobody. All right, I could be proving myself over and over again on whatever platform, but if I'm not making the right moves to get the word out and market what I'm doing, then nobody's gonna know about it. I just told you in masterclass number 1515 several weeks ago that you are a marketer. So if you're not putting time, effort, and energy into marketing what you're good at, as you don't always have to do in the sports world, in the business world, you have to do it. If you're not doing it, then you could be very frustrated because you know you're good, yet you're not getting the just desserts of your skill. The business world is definitely not as black and white as the sports world, and that's today's topic. Point number one, why business is not like sports is today's topic. Number one, sports is a straight up meritocracy. In sports, if you are good, you ain't gotta know anybody. You don't have to be cool with anybody. You don't need to have a whole lot of people skills. You don't need to be a salesperson. You don't need to be a marketer. You don't need to be from the right place. You don't need to have the right family. You don't need to, play the political game any type of way. You don't need to do any of that if you're good enough in sports. All right, if LeBron James was a complete asshole, if he was a Donald Trump supporter, if he didn't have any people skills, if he didn't have a team around him, if he, whatever other things you think is great about LeBron, and let's say it was the exact opposite, outside of his skill set, LeBron James will still be LeBron James. Why? Because in sports, the best performers always get elevated. It does not matter. The rest of that shit doesn't matter. In the business world, all of it matters. In the business world, if you had a wrong opinion, or you say the wrong thing, or you piss off the wrong person, you could be the best performer and nobody will ever know, because those people who you pissed off might bury you and keep you from getting your opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't ways around it, but what I'm saying is people can get in your way and block you and slow you down in the business world just off of their personal subjective opinions. In the sports world, that can't happen. All right, people don't have to like you for you to succeed in sports. You just got to be good. In business, you might need to be cool with the right people and shake the right hands in order for you to get your opportunities and get your success. That's just the way it is. And if anybody has seen something different, you let me know. But I know you haven't, so you can't. Sports is a straight up meritocracy, ladies and gentlemen. You can start from the bottom and now you're here. And as long as you deliver, every time you get your chance, you will move up. I know this because I did it. I started as an absolute nobody, didn't know anybody, nobody knew me. I did not have an in the sports world. The way I got in is by performing when I got my opportunities. And the golden opportunities that were most important for me to perform at, I performed there. That's how I was able to continually move up and advance past, career-wise, advance past a whole lot of people who started at much higher positions than me. People who showed their skill when I was 14, 15, 16, not even on my high school team, and it was a stark nobody in the sports world. There were athletes who were being ranked. They were in these rankings, and they said this player, and they were getting scholarship offers and going to tournaments and getting whatever other perks you get when you're a great young athlete, which I can't articulate because I don't know what they are because I didn't get them. But they were getting them, and my career extended past theirs simply because I continued to perform over and over and over again, whereas they, for whatever reason, they stopped. And you would have to ask them why and how that happened. So anyway, no amount of opinion or hating or anything subjective can change the fact that the scoreboard is a scoreboard. That's the great thing about sports. All right, your opinion can't change the scoreboard in sports. Your opinion can stop somebody from getting an opportunity in business if you have requisite power. Nobody can hide from the scoreboard in the sports world. Nobody can overrule the scoreboard in the sports world. This is good news for anyone in sports. As I said, you can be a complete asshole to everybody you meet, but if you perform well enough, it won't matter in the sports world. Now in the business world, if you're a complete asshole to everyone you meet, even if you perform well, it can still slow you down in some ways. It can slow you down in many ways if you're an asshole in the business world and people just don't like you, okay? Business is what I would call an altered meritocracy. Sports is a straight up meritocracy. Business is an altered meritocracy, meaning part of the meritocracy part is true in that you do need to be good. If you're gonna go somewhere in business, you do have to have some good product. You gotta have some kind of good or service that you offer that is beneficial to people and is worth their money. Because if it's not, then people aren't gonna buy from you no matter how they feel about you, even if they don't know who the hell you are. So you do have to be good, but good is a subjective term in business. Good is objective in sports because we can look at the scoreboard. Are the LA Lakers a good team? Well, let's look at the standings and let's see. Are they winning more games than they're losing? What is their ranking amongst other teams in the league? We can gauge whether they are good or not. Once we decide what's the Mendoza line between good and bad, we can decide objectively, clearly, black and white, is this team good or is this team not good? In business, good is subjective. It is all in the eyes of the beholder. Are you a good speaker? Is this a good podcast? Is that a good book? It's all based on the opinion of the person who's looking at it, right? Definition of subjective means based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. It's an interesting definition. Let me read that one more time. You need to keep this one in mind. This is a very important definition. The word we're defining is subjective. Based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. It doesn't matter if you are good in the business world. It does not. It doesn't matter if you're good. What matters is who thinks you're good. If the right person thinks you're good, then it matters. If you are good, but the right people don't know about it, or they don't think you're good, or they think the exact opposite, well, that can hurt you a whole lot. In the sports world, none of these things exist. You don't have these problems in sports. If you're good, you're good. People can hate you all they want, but as long as you keep getting on that field or on that court or on that track or on that ice and doing your thing, it doesn't matter what they think. In business, it always matters. Point number 2. Today's topic, why business is not like sports. In sports, when you are good, you get paid for being good. That's a good way for things to work, right? It is a direct, straight up meritocracy. When you're good in sports, you get paid. In the business world, let me tell you how it works. Now, yes, you can get paid for being good, but you got to do more than be good. You also have to influence people to exchange their money for your goodness in the business world. You can be really good in business, but if you can't sell what you're good at, then you won't make any money off what you're good at. Even though you're really good at what you do, you got to learn how to sell it. There's a book by P.T. Barnum. I forget the name of the book, but if you go look up P.T. Barnum books on his website called Goodreads, you could basically download, no, not Goodreads, what is it called? It's called the Gutenberg Project, that's what it's called. The Gutenberg Project basically has a lot of books that are out of print, meaning there is no copyright owner, meaning you could download the book for free, you only had to pay for it, and you can read whatever you want. There's a bunch of P.T. Barnum books that are available on Gutenberg, or if you prefer audio books, you will have to go buy the audio. You can probably find it on YouTube or something like that if that's your thing. And what P.T. Barnum wrote about in a bunch of his books was about sales, because P.T. Barnum was not the most genius. You know, he wasn't like a juggler or this a hypnotist, or what's the guy that David Blaine, who like levitates allegedly and pulls rabbits out of his throat and things like that. P.T. Barnum wasn't that. P.T. Barnum was just a hell of a salesperson. That's what made him good. And any of you don't know who P.T. Barnum is, it's, you think of the circus, the Barnum and Bailey Circus, or the P.T. Barnum Circus, whatever it's called these days. I haven't been to a circus in a while, but I knew P.T. Barnum's name as soon as I heard it. I said, this guy, he's a circus guy. What P.T. Barnum was a damn salesperson. The reason his name is known is because he could sell. The people whose names you know in business are the people who can sell. Not necessarily the best. They're not necessarily the best at what they do. They're just the most known at what they do. And often we conflate being the best and being the most known. Whoever's the most known, we say they must be the best because they're the ones we know. Ask people who's the best rapper. People might say, well, Drake is the best rapper, or Future is the best rapper, or Jay-Z is the best rapper. Why? Because they're the ones that we know about. There may be people who are much better verbally than all of those guys, but we don't know them, so we can't call them the best because nobody knows who the hell they are. People don't know who you are in the business world. You're not going to be recognized as the best, and therefore you're not going to get the trappings of being the best that come with it. All right, when you're the best in business and recognized as the best, usually a lot of money comes with that. I think we can agree that Drake and Future and Jay-Z have probably made a lot of money from music. I don't know exactly what they got, but I would assume they made a good amount of money. Why? Because they're recognized as the best, and why they recognized as the best is people know who the hell they are. And remember, music is art. It's hard to get a whole bunch of people to agree that you're the best when it's art. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. Jay-Z has a line in one of his songs. I mentioned this before. He said, if skills sold, truth be told, I will probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Now, Talib Kweli is a rapper that many of you probably have not heard of. I've heard of him, and some of you, depending on the era that you're from and how old you are, you've heard of Talib Kweli. He is still an active rapper. He is from, I believe he's from Brooklyn, New York, and he is a very good rapper. He's what's known as a conscious rapper, meaning he doesn't make a whole lot of radio songs. He's not a person he's not like a crossover pop type music. He doesn't make the kind of music that gets danced to in clubs. He makes the kind of music that might make you think. He is more of a, how would I describe Talib Kweli? That's the best way I can describe him. He's not a person who makes music thinking about, okay, how can I market and sell this? He makes music for the art form of music. And what Jay-Z was saying in his song, he wasn't dissing Talib Kweli, he was actually giving him props. He said, if every musician got paid based on just straight up skill and just on the art of making music, I would make music the way Talib Kweli makes music. However, he continues on his rhyme. He says, truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense. Now, there's a rapper called Common Sense, and he's similar to Talib Kweli. He is more of a conscious rapper. He's a guy who raps more for the art form of the music rather than let me make songs that are going to sell me a lot of records and make me a whole lot of money. That doesn't seem to be Common or Talib Kweli's aim in music. But Jay-Z was saying, listen, that's my aim. All right, my aim is to make money. All right, so if it was all about skill, I would rap like those guys rap because they have skills. He was giving them credit. But at the same time, he said, look, I wanted to make more money, so I couldn't rap like them because I know that rapping like that is not going to make me the kind of money that I want to make. So I had to rap a little bit differently. I had to make music for the clubs. I had to make music for the girls. I had to make music for people that wasn't going to make them think too hard and break their brains. I had to make stuff that was a little bit more simple so that people could understand it and they could dance to it and not have to grab a dictionary to listen to my music. And that's basically what Jay-Z was saying. And he said, look, I sold a lot of records and I can't rap like those guys because this is just the game that I'm in. I'm in the game of trying to make money. I'm not in the game of just proving everybody how good I am. And again, this is not a right or wrong to this argument, but I'm using that as an example for any of you who don't know that song. It's called Moment of Clarity by Jay-Z. So go look it up. You can find it on YouTube, whatever app you got. I guess it had to be on Tidal maybe. I don't know. Jay-Z got all his music on certain platforms. Y'all can go find it. Y'all know how to find stuff on the internet. Being good alone, ladies and gentlemen, does not pay until or unless an exchange is created in the business world. In the sports world, if you're good, they will find you and they will tell you the exchange. They'll give you the money. You ain't even got to know what the hell you're doing. They'll give you the money. In this business world, you not only have to be good and not only make it known, then you have to go initiate the conversation about the exchange, and then you got to negotiate for your exchange, then you got to get it on paper, and then you got to collect the money. You got to do all those things in business. In sports, you ain't got to do none of that. You just got to play. These are additional steps that you have to do in the business world, that these additional steps often befuddle people who are expecting a meritocracy. Let me repeat what I just said. These additional steps, be good. All right, the same thing in sports, they're equal. Now everything changes here. Now you gotta prove that you're good. Actually, that works in sports too. You gotta be good and prove that you're good. You gotta do that in both. Then the next step is only exclusive to business. Now you have to find the people who can make the exchange. Then you gotta create the exchange. You got to have the exchange actually happen. You gotta close the sale. Then you gotta collect the money. You gotta do all those things in business. You don't have to do any of that in sports. And these additional steps often befuddle highly skilled people who are actually good, yet who falsely expect a meritocracy. Business is not a meritocracy, ladies and gentlemen. In the business world, the best are not the ones who end up at the top, at least not the best performers. In the business world, the people who end up at the top are the people who are a combination of good at performing and producing results, and they are good at selling / marketing. When you're good at both, that's when you get to the top. And often that good is very subjective. It's about people's opinion. It's not about, there's no clear objective measure of good. It's just about getting people's opinion on your side. So that's why you need all these people skills that we talk about all the time. You need them in business because you need to sway the people. There's a book called The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene that will help you a lot with this. If you haven't read that book, I suggest you go get it. You can get a list of recommended books for certain topics by going to dreallday.com/read, READ. That's my recommended reading list. Point number 3. Today's topic is how business is not like sports. Point number 3, opinions don't really matter in sports. Now, I know. You're on the internet every day. You get on Instagram, you go on ESPN, you see all these talking head TV shows of people arguing their opinions all day, every day. All that is entertainment. All right, those opinions have no bearing whatsoever on what happens in the actual games. That's what I mean when I say opinions don't matter. Now, yes, people can share their opinions and everyone's entitled to an opinion, but the opinions that Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless and Mike Wilbon and all these other people out there share every single day, the radio hosts, none of those opinions have any effect whatsoever on what happens in the game. All right, those guys only share their opinions. They talk about the game after it happened, or they talk about the game before it happened, but they ain't got nothing to do with the game when it's happening. Do you understand what I'm saying? Opinions do not matter in sports. They cannot control the game by what they say on TV. But, and an op-ed column in the New York Times cannot determine who's going to win the championship in the sports world. If the New York Knicks are going to win or not, it doesn't matter what the New York Times says or what CNN says or what somebody on Fox says. They still got to play the game, right? In the business world, however, opinions matter a lot. You get the wrong opinions against you, it could destroy your business, it could destroy your career. It could swing a political election. If the wrong opinion gets voiced about you at the wrong time in the wrong place and it reaches the wrong people, that could hurt you a lot in the business world. Just somebody's opinion. It could be one person with an opinion. That's why in the business world, there are a lot of extra parts. There are a lot of extra moving pieces, so to speak, in the business world that do not exist in the sports world. Everything in the sports world is played out and decided basically by facts with that scoreboard being the most important fact, but everyone ostensibly playing by the same rules in the sports world. Now, there are things that you need to do here and there to make sure that you're in the best position to win, but in the sports world, the game is pretty clear. Everybody knows the rules, everybody knows how we're deciding who won, and it's completely objective. That's the great thing about sports, is that there's all that extra shit that I've been talking about in business. None of that exists in sports. We just get out there, we play, and may the best man win, may the best team win, may the best woman win. That's just how it is. If a coach is hating on you, get on another team and prove that coach wrong. Done, problem solved. If people think you're an asshole, it doesn't really matter when the game starts because they can't stop you from playing. They can think you're an asshole, but if you score 40 points, it's going in the history books that you have 40 points. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. in the business world, this process is not always very clear. In the business world, we're not always dealing with facts. In the business world, there are a lot of opinions and a lot of subjectivity. In the business world, everyone's not playing by the same rules. In the business world, not everyone has the same advantages or disadvantages. In the business world, the game is not clear often. In the business world, if somebody's hating on you, that can destroy your whole career or your whole season, let alone, you can't just decide I'm gonna just go somewhere else and that person hating on me is gonna disappear. It doesn't work like that. In the business world, the process is not always clear. There's a lot of moving parts and you gotta manage all of them. That's why having a strong team in place, like we talked about yesterday, matters in both business and sports, because you can get people on your team who can handle things for you that you can't handle yourself or that you don't need to handle yourself. There are many ways to get in the game in the business world, as opposed to the sports world, where it's very vertical the way the sports world works. You go here, then the next level is this, the next level is this, the next level is this. There's not a whole lot of alternatives. There's a straight up and down how things work. In the business world, there's a lot of different ways to get in. You can come in as a whole, it's like 30 side doors. There are more side doors than front doors in the business world. Opinions matter a whole lot. Have I said that enough times? If people don't like you, again, that could hurt your business, that could hurt your career in many ways. In sports, it don't matter what people think. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter when you get on that field or on that court. It doesn't affect your check. It affects your check in business. That's how business and sports are not alike. So let's recap today's class, which is why business is not like sports. I started out as a nobody in sports, but I ended up making it because the open market is a straight up and down vertical. All I had to do was prove myself over and over again. In the business world, it does not work like that. There's a whole lot of other things that go into it. Let's talk about it. Point number one, sports is a straight up meritocracy. You can start at the bottom and still make it as long as you deliver every time that you get your chance. No opinions or hating can change what is on the scoreboard. Business is an altered meritocracy. Yes, you had to be good, but good is subjective. Subjective meaning based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. It's not if you're good, it's who thinks you're good. Point number two, in sports, when you are good, you get paid for being good. In business, you have to get paid, you have to not only be good, but you got to influence people to exchange their money for your goodness. And those are extra steps. There are extra steps in that a lot of people are flummoxed by and never understand, and this is why they fail. Point number three, opinions don't really matter in sports. What somebody says in the newspaper or on ESPN does not affect what happens in the game. Opinions matter a lot in business because you can have one person say something negative about you and it could affect everything that happens in your business or doesn't happen ever in the history of your business simply because somebody doesn't like you for whatever reason. In business, the process is not as clear as it is in sports. In sports, all you gotta do is perform. Then it's the next level, the next level, the next level. The levels are clear. It's straight up and down. It's like walking up a flight of steps. In business, it's like walking through a maze and you have no idea when you're gonna run into a dead end and no idea how to get the hell out of it when things aren't working in business. Opinions matter a lot. If somebody doesn't like you or people just don't have a favorable opinion, even if you're the best at what you do, you may never get your opportunity. So in business, there's a lot of things that you gotta learn how to juggle to get yourself out there and get your opportunity in the world. If you want help with getting your opportunity in business, helping yourself, putting yourself in the right place, developing those people skills, marketing and selling yourself out there in the world, you can reach out to me for a personal one-on-one consultation. Reach out to Rem, R-E-M, at dreallday.com. She will tell you what the arrangements are, what the options are, and what we can do to help you out. Again, that's Rem, R-E-M, at dreallday.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.